Yo, yo, yo. Yo, yo, yo. Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Happy Saturday, man. Hope everybody's having a great weekend so far. It's time to get started with our Saturday stream, man. June 22nd edition of Video Gaming News is coming up right now. And then we're going to dive into a little bit of Ghost of Tsushima, probably a little bit of some X-Defiant with the community, you know. We got Act 2 we're about to finish up in Ghost of Tsushima, which is cool. We've just unlocked the Ghost Stance, which is sick. And yeah, I don't know, man, it's popping, man. It's good stuff. What's up, Davey? 3 stream streak, baby. Let's go, dude. Love it, love it. Let's go.
We're good streaking.
Yeah, boy. What's up, Davey? How you doing? You working today, man, or you just taking her easy? So yeah, that's the jam, man. That's the play. That's what we're gonna do. We'll probably not go quite as long on Ghost of Tsushima today since it's the weekend, and I like to try to get some community gameplay in. So going to work. Boo. I respect it, dude. Yeah. No, I hope you have a good day, and whenever you head that way, and a safe, nice day at work, dude. Long weekend. Oh yeah, I understand that, dude. Yeah, I understand that for sure. Yep, absolutely, no doubt. Yep. Respect, dude, respect. Thanks for the 3 stream streak, buddy. Let's go ahead and do it, man. Let's do what we do. Let's get in here. Let's do some video gaming news for today, June 22nd, and then we'll play games. Cool? Let's go. Let's see what we get. Yeah. You digging some Minecraft dungeons? Cool, man. Good. Yeah, this is one of those conversations. I'm not going to dive into this article. We've had these conversations a lot, and especially in regards to Soulsborne games, Souls-like games. A lot of times, these games don't give the game player a difficulty option. It's a default difficulty. That's all you get. There's no adjusting it. It is what it is. And there's, you know, a lot of different sentiments and thoughts about whether or not games should have that as an option, or because I mean, ultimately, the way that Miyazaki has talked about their development process of Soulsborne games never having difficulty options, or you know, and that it's you know, that's their art. That's their art. That's the way they develop it. They want it to be that way, and they don't plan on doing difficulty, you know, difficulty levels and difficulty options in their games. And it's always been that way for them, and you know, I respect that very much. I'm also probably a little bit biased because I play my games on the hardest difficulty all the time. I can understand why some people are feeling like they're missing out on that front. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely understand that there are a lot of people who like to play games as just getting the experience of what the content has to offer. They don't need it to be hard. They actually are fine with it being quite soft, and I respect that. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, a game being very easy just so that people don't have to struggle through experiencing what the content has to offer, because a lot of these games do have great content, and there are a lot of people that just don't care to struggle through a game on a high difficulty curve. I respect it. It's not my way. It's not my way. But I respect that. I understand it. But On the flip side, I do also very much respect and appreciate developers in what they do with this art form, and them having a vision for certain things they create and going, this is the way it's meant to be. This is the way it's meant to be played. You know, if you want to experience the content, this is the only way. There's no other way. If you want to experience the content, this is it. This is our vision. This is what we're bringing to you. And I mean, I think from a developer standpoint, looking at it that way, you have to appreciate that too. As much as some people disagree with that, it is their artistic vision for what the game is supposed to be. It's always an area of contention when you are talking about this specific area of game development and gameplay. You know, it's a difficult thing for some people to swallow. It definitely is. Yeah. Let me be very clear here. This game is not a WoW rival. Tarisland. Cross-platform WoW rival MMORPG hits full launch. This is not going to be a WoW rival. I've already seen just a little bit about it, and it's not looking very good. It's always funny to me to have these games release in the first place and then have them be automatically compared to something of epic renown like World of Warcraft in that genre. And it's like, really? It's been out. This game's Tarisland's been out for what, like a day and a half? It's not even doing that well. And then you've got somebody creating an article where they're titling it. It's, you know, like, it's a WoW rival. No. Come on, man. Come on. Be better, dude. Be better. Don't do that. We are also going to take a look at, so I was going to do this yesterday, but I waited. If you can take a look right here on PC. Shadow of the Erd Tree is at a 64% positive right now on PC, guys. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. I don't think it's probably a content issue. We're going to look into it. We read it a little bit yesterday. Apparently, Elden Ring still has not fixed a lot of their stutter, frame rate issues and stuff like that on PC. And it's to varying degrees across the board for people, depending on your hardware configuration. Some people have literally none. Other people have so much that it's very, very molding to even play the game with it. And they still haven't fixed the issues. I played this game on release, and it was terrible to play through the game with the kinds of issues that I experienced on PC. And we read an article yesterday about how the game still hasn't been fixed. And it's still persisting through what people are going to have to deal with and experience on the Shadow of the Erd Tree release as well, which is really unfortunate and is a bad look, in my opinion, on From Software. As much as I do think they're a pretty solid company, this is not a good look. It really isn't. So, you know, I was able to trudge through the performance issues and overlook that to an extent and play the game, even though it definitely degraded my experience in playing through Elden Ring on release. The thing that's unfortunate is that you've got a developer that, instead of focusing down on making sure that all platforms this game, Elden Ring, was released on, was at this point after release, you know, very functional, very polished, because it did have issues on PC. They haven't fixed it. And what do they do instead? They released the DLC for it, which is still, you know what I mean, just going to have the same issues that The base game has, because it hasn't been fixed. It's very unfortunate. Well, we'll take a look at this today. Dive into those reviews and see what's going on. Does nostalgia play a role in which video game is your favorite? No doubt. I think it's hard not to, you know, I think for anybody that's been a gamer for most of their life, it's hard not to have certain games stick with you as a very important games in your life and who you are as a gamer moving forward, which is in essence that becomes a very nostalgic part of why these titles in their nostalgia are very highly ranked for you. I can attest. Final Fantasy VII, which is funny at being shown right there, my favorite game of all time. Then I've got games like Diablo 1 and 2 that are up there in the top 5. Actually, Diablo 2's top 5. Diablo 1's probably top 10. And then a game like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is a game that made me fall in love with Metroidvania games. That would be in my top 5. You know, I mean, we're talking about all of these games in my, you know, they're all got quite a bit of age under them now. You know, they're all very nostalgic for me, but they're all also a huge part of why I am the gamer I am today. And those will always be beloved titles for me. And you know, I played so much of those games that they were just incredible for me. There are going to be a lot of newer titles I've played too that are definitely going to be way up there. You know, Baldur's Gate 3 is a banger. That's a game that really ticked a lot of boxes. That's going to be a game that is going to stay way up there for a lot of people for a long time, if not forever. You know, we've got amazing new titles coming all the time, but the nostalgia does definitely play a role in, you know, your favorite games or the ranking of your games. No doubt about it. I think for most people anyway. Oh, there it is. First video game addiction lawsuit got knocked out. While others follow. Yep. I expected this. We've seen the Quiet Place game. It looks like it could be very cool. We'll keep track of it. Yeah, a new Batman game coming is an Arkham-themed VR game, not made by Rocksteady, though. So, we'll see if it's any good. Probably a good article. This is probably an article I would agree with in large part. Why I'm sticking with my PS4 and will never buy a PS5. A reader explains why he's decided to not upgrade to a PS5. How the increasing cost of console gaming is part of the problem. It's one of those things I've talked a lot. I mean, I feel like the console world is definitely not a very consumer friendly part of the video gaming market anymore. It's all about taking advantage where they can take advantage, make you pay more, you know, where you shouldn't necessarily have to in most cases, things like that. That's why I've moved away from it almost entirely at this point, and just I'm main PC, where I didn't used to be like that. I'm not going to dive into this article, but I think, this is probably a very good article. Stray on Switch is a double-edged sword. We talk about these games coming to the Switch and what you're giving up to get potentially some of the experience of what the original game was on other platforms. So in some ways, Stray is the perfect Nintendo Switch game, but it could also be a tricky marriage between software and hardware. They've been trying to port more modernized games over to the Switch for years and years and years now, which is one of the reasons I've been talking about Nintendo needed an upgrade hardware-wise quite a while ago, personally, in my opinion. I've felt very strongly that way. It's difficult to watch them try and push these games, take like The Witcher 3 or Hogwarts Legacy, Mortal Kombat 1, now Stray. I mean, there are tons of examples. Those are just some that pop off the top of my head there. You look at what those games were originally and what they had to become to be ported over to what the Switch hardware is. It doesn't work very well. It doesn't work very well. The gameplay mechanics are going to feel much more rough because the frames have to be just tanked to be able to be put on the Switch. The graphical fidelity is turned into goop. It looks nothing like the original game does, So in many aspects, the experience suffers. The experience suffers just so that the game can be put on the Switch, because the hardware is old, and it is underpowered, very underpowered. So it's not like this is the first time we've seen this happen with a game being ported over to the Switch, and it's not the first time we've talked about it either. I mean, Nintendo's finally coming out with another piece of hardware, right? But again, I mean, when you talk about this, this is one of my concerns for Nintendo moving forward. They want to do this kind of thing with these types of games, and for the first 2 to 3 years, you'll probably be fine with the new Nintendo hardware, with getting more modernized games to run fairly efficiently and pretty well on the new Nintendo hardware. As mobile gaming hardware has definitely come a long ways since the original Switch was developed and released, but you're still also talking about hardware that apparently is going to be sitting somewhere between PS4 and PS5 power, right? And how well will it age, right? So they're doing everything they can to balance this. How much power can we get into this type of a device at the lowest possible price point for consumers? So they're trying to hit like a $400 US price point. Convert that to your own region of the world for the new Nintendo hardware. That's what we're hearing. And not that, specs and what we're going to get performance-wise out of something like that being between a PS4 and PS5 level is necessarily bad, but it's definitely not putting them on the cutting edge of anything, And it does worry me that over the next 2 to 3 years, they'll be in the same position they've been in for quite a while with their current piece of hardware, where they start trying to take these modernized games and put them on the Switch, and the experience is definitely something you have to, suffer through in comparison to what the game originally is on the other platforms it releases on. I think that's what we have in store for us, again, for new Nintendo hardware coming down the line a few years. I do feel that way. Alone in the Dark proves that games aren't allowed to fail anymore. Yeah, we took a recap of the limited run game showcase yesterday, so I'm not going to dive back into that. What is this? Super Fantasy Kingdom official gameplay trailer. Let's see what that is. It doesn't sound familiar. Sony's reportedly made cuts to VR development with only 2 titles currently planned. Looks like Antstream Arcade, the subscription service, is heading to iPhones next week. Bro, I loved NBA Jam. NBA Jam was such a banger. What a great flipping game. Yo, be careful here. Roku fans can unlock free video games on TV if you have a Netflix subscription. Roku also has a patent in right now to basically have intelligent technology be able to tell anytime you are not actively engaged in content, so they can just sit there and run ads on you all the time. Doesn't matter if it's playing games, if it's watching shows, it doesn't matter. I would highly recommend staying away from Roku stuff right now. It's a scary look. Fioro admits primary source is Nintendo of Japan employee who seemingly had access to Nintendo's web backend. Interesting. Let's take a look at this. All right, we'll stick with these. It'll be a bit of a bleak news day. It's like that sometimes on the weekends, though. Terrace Land. All right, I've already kind of seen a little bit about this. But Terrace Land, the cross-platform WoW rival? I don't think so, dude. Hits full launch. Terrace Land is an MMO that lets you play on PC and mobile with full cross-platform support, and after several tests and betas, it's out now. Yeah, it feels like there's a ton of new MMOs appearing, each with the potential to carve out their own niche in this market, still ruled over by Blizzard's venerable game. Terrace Land is a brand new MMO RPG aiming to make its mark on the genre, and it's out today. It's already had several betas. Now it's headed out the door, at least, with North America, South American, European, Eastern European, and Asian servers available. playable on mobile and PC with full cross-platform options. Looks set to set the MMO free from the traditional method of sitting in front of the computer and plowing through content. Though obviously you can still do that. So titled Season 0, it'll start the game off with several 5-player dungeons and 10-player raid bosses. There's also a promised series of PvE modes titled Arcane Realm, Universal Hall, and Dark Invasion. Players will be able to pick between 9 classes, each with 2 sets of talents, and 8 ultimates as they set out on their adventures, with a ton of new stuff yet to come in the future updates. I would highly recommend people look into reviews. Where's this playable at on PC? Probably on their own site or something. I did already, here, let me see if I can pull something up here. Yeah, I don't know. I'll look it up real quick. Yeah, I think it's just probably from their own site. Looks like it. But yeah, it doesn't list like a specific PC platform, so I'm guessing it's just downloading it off of their own site. I'll pull it up and just look on here real quick. No. That's the way this is looking right now. So, I mean, if you're interested here, I'll link this to you, but this is what I'll say. Stop that. I had already seen a lot of stuff where people were kind of trashing the game already for it not being very good, being very having a lot of pay-to-win mechanics, not really being feeling very, very much a mobile title rather than a PC kind of title, things like that. I haven't seen much, but I've seen people reviews, you know, on this kind of stuff. Early on anyways. So you can see like the MMORPG Reddit is, you know, Taurus Land is so bad. Game is just way more mobile than it is PC. Taurus Land is pay to win and more complaints. There's just like, all I did was look up Taurus Land reviews, that's it. And this is the main stuff that's coming up right now. You know, it's I think that if you want to try it out, by all means go for it, but I think you should be prepared for what to expect here in this kind of title. It's always funny to me too, again, like you get this kind of title coming up on an article for something like it's like, it's a WoW rival. It's like, dog, no, don't do that. You know, you can't. WoW is a unicorn, dude. You know, in the realm of MMORPG genre in gaming, World of Warcraft is a unicorn. It is extremely unique to have a game do that well and go for as long as something like World of Warcraft has. And you've got a game that just released yesterday, and you've got somebody writing an article talking about how this is already a rival to WoW. Nah, stop it, dude. You can't do that. You know, you're either an idiot or you're looking for, you know, you're trying to just clickbait people. It's so dumb. So yeah, I think you've got to. Yeah, Alex McHugh, you're one of those two, in my opinion. That's such a dumb thing to do. It's probably the latter. They're probably trying to clickbait people, but it still makes, you know, in my opinion, it makes that author look really, really stupid. So just know, if you're gonna play this, set your expectations low here. Is it free to play? Yeah, but it's definitely gonna. It sounds like have a lot of pay to win in it and stuff like that. So you need to be careful. You're gonna have to expect that. And apparently the gameplay is not phenomenal either. You know, it's just have your expectations set low. I think here is what you need to be prepared for. First video game addiction lawsuit got knocked out. Will others follow? This is that whole, I think this is probably from the one in Arkansas. Oh, this is the Missouri one. St. Louis Federal Court. Yeah. Yeah. So, the first of more than a dozen similar video game addiction suits was voluntarily dismissed last week, though it's rather ignominious and didn't test the litigation's central theories. Instead, it strikes me more as an unforced error by the plaintiffs, one seized on by defense counsel. Plaintiff Cynthia Jimenez, who's the guardian of her 14-year-old grandchild, identified only as IC, sued companies including Epic, Roblox, Microsoft, Google, and Nintendo in East St. Louis Federal Court last fall, seeking unspecified compensation and punitive damages. She alleged the defendants' intentional, negligent, deceptive, fraudulent, willful, immoral, reckless, and unlawful acts caused her grandson to become addicted to video games. Company spokesperson declined comment or did not respond to requests for comment. Jimenez is represented by Tina Bullock and B.W. Wallace of Bullock Legal Group in Atlanta. Bullock declined comment and Wallace did not respond to a request for comment. Bullock in an email declined to provide contact information for Jimenez, whom said she did not wish to speak to the press. Reuters was unable to independently locate Jimenez. According to the 161-page complaint, IC at age 7 allegedly began playing video games at an increasingly and uncontrollable pace. As an adult, you could not control your 7-year-old. You know, as an adult guardian of a 7-year-old child, you could not control them in their consumption of media, of entertainment. I'm sorry, I don't believe that. There was nothing you could do to control the consumption here of their video gaming, play and habits at 7 years old. Sounds like this kid probably runs amok on you and runs over you and treats, treats you not like a guardian or with respect, but probably just has no care for your authority or anything. And now spends 35 hours a week playing Fortnite, Roblox, and Minecraft, becoming enraged if told to stop. As a result of this gaming addiction, IC allegedly requires treatment that includes medication therapy, outpatient counseling, and an individualized education plan at school. After filing suit in November, plaintiff's counsel sent Fortnite maker Epic Games a standardized letter requesting that it preserve documents and information related to IC's gaming account, Epic said. When Epic consulted its records, it found that the account created was just 3 days before the suit was filed, and that it was used to play Fortnite for less than 1 hour. In the intervening 4 months, Epic said it hadn't been touched. The false premise that IC continues to play Fortnite uncontrollably is the basis for all claims against Epic. Outside counsel Mose Caba wrote in a motion for sanctions asking U.S. District Judge Stephen McGlynn to dismiss the case and award Epic legal fees. An alleged addiction requires more than a single brief instance of gameplay. Both Epic and Kava, managing partner of Houston Hennigan, declined comment. Plaintiffs' lawyers responded in court papers that Icy, the child in this court case, played Fortnite compulsively and addictively from 2017 to 2020 on other unidentified accounts, and that Jimenez can testify to personally witnessing Icy's compulsive and addictive use of Fortnite. But a week before the sanctions hearing set for June 21st, the court granted the lawyers' joint request to dismiss the suit against Epic with prejudice. Plaintiffs' lawyers also withdrew their claims against the other defendants with leave to refile. IC's case may be over, but litigation continues in federal courts in Arkansas, Missouri, Florida, Georgia, and Minnesota, almost all co-filed by Bullock with local counsel or partner firms. Given the potential number of plaintiffs, according to industry trade group the Entertainment Software Association, 61% of U.S. population reports playing video games for at least 1 hour a week. The litigation, in theory, could be enormous. It's entertainment. What percent of U.S. population watches an episode of a show for 1 hour a week? It's no different. Come on, man. Get out of here. This is stupid. It's entertainment. What percentage of the U.S. population listens to, music? Which is a little bit different form of media, but still, it's still entertainment, right? Right, exactly. So, if it's 5 hours of TV, it's fine. But if it's playing games, it's a problem. You know what I mean? In practice, it may be constrained by economic considerations. The judicial panel in what's up, buddy? How you doing? Happy Saturday, by the way. Multi-district litigation earlier this month declined to consolidate the initial group of 15 lawsuits, pointing to a lack of common factual questions. The ruling means plaintiffs and lawyers are stuck slogging it out case by case in courts around the country. The complaints allege video game makers use psychological tricks to ensnare users and keep them coming back, including vibrant graphics, random rewards, satisfying sounds, and continual gameplay variety. Yeah, because this is the business that they're in, right? This is the business they're in. All of these companies are duking it out in a business environment that literally is about keeping game players engaged in their software, which means you have to find ways to make your software more engaging and more inviting than, your competitors. That's this business. That's the way this works. So I don't think anybody's going to deny the fact that most games, especially live service games and stuff like that, are definitely built in a way to constantly be tapping into that part of the brain of most people where it's like, oh, come back, keep playing, a bit of that, I guess, addictive kind of tendency, if you will, to continue to play in that game or be in that environment or what have you. There's a lot of, there's been a lot of research poured into it to keep people in those environments. That's the business, man. You can't tell me these makers of other forms of entertainment don't do the same thing, though, right? Obviously, video games are a different dynamic because they are a more immersive kind of entertainment quite often, because they give you this interactability with the entertainment that most other forms of entertainment don't have, right? So it's a little bit different, but you can't talk about, just video games being a problem in this fashion without talking about other forms of entertainment too. That's just where video games have been a scapegoat for so much finger pointing forever, whether it be for violence or, you know, basically, and look, I mean, I'm going to say something right here and I'll elaborate on this, but guardians and parents not wanting to do their job and not wanting to play the role of a guardian and a parent, yeah, and actually teach moderation, consumption and moderation in life to children and let their kids get out of control with stuff. And then when it does get out of control, they want to point their fingers at these companies and go, oh, well, we're going to sue you because we can't handle our kids. It's your fault. You made things too addictive. Come on, man. The rest of the world's not having this issue. It's you guys, right? So, I definitely think that, you know, with anything else in life, it doesn't matter if it's ingestible substances that have addictive tendencies, you know, addictive substances, or you're talking about gambling, or you're talking about, you know, things, sex, whatever. There's anything in life can be turned into an addictive, you know, thing that can threaten your life and the quality of your life if you don't know how to address it and consume it in moderation, right? And that's these parents' jobs. That's what these parents and these guardians are supposed to be doing, is teaching these kids how to consume in moderation. You know, and then all of a sudden, here we are, they're getting litigation going against these companies for just being businesses and trying to compete in the industry because they didn't do their job. This is the way this comes off. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. And don't get me wrong. I think that, you know, it's difficult for a lot of parents. I'm not going to, you know, I'm not blind to the fact that it's going to be tough for a lot of parents. There are a lot of single parent homes. There are a lot of homes where the parents are gone a lot to do work multiple jobs and stuff like that. And, you know, would you rather have your kids in the streets getting into some, you know, activities that are, you know, going to get them in trouble? Or would you rather have them, you know, set down in front of video games to kind of babysit them, where you're not going to be there to necessarily moderate how much they consume? It's unfortunate, but it happens, you know. But I think what you've still got to do there is try to lay out ground rules for how much they can consume and what else they need to be doing and things like that, right? It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. But I don't think you can just point fingers at the video game companies and go, oh, well, you're creating entertainment that's very engaging and you should be sued for it. That's asinine. That's crazy. It's crazy. These lawsuits also point to research on the harms of excessive gaming, including brain image studies that show long-term playing affects the regions responsible for reward, impulse control, and sensory motor coordination. As a first-line argument, defendants, including Microsoft and Nintendo, say the cases should be dismissed because the plaintiffs, as a condition of using their products, agreed to arbitrate any disputes. If these procedural arguments fall short, game makers also offer a robust free speech defense. Yeah, defense counsel argues the alleged problem is that video games are simply too engaging. But they say that's not grounds for liability any more than a page-turning novel or binge-worthy Netflix series. Like we were just talking about, dude. Plaintiffs' lawyers counter that the cases are about conduct, not content, product defects, not expression. But to me, the difference is hard to parse. Absolutely, dude. Also, keep coming back to my real-life experience. However captivating or even addictive video games may be, surely parents or guardians still have the power to pull the plug. My sentiments exactly. Okay? I do think that, you know, this is what's always wild to me, too. You know, if this was a situation of parents and guardians in a situation where they just weren't able to have very much oversight because they were so busy grinding, being out there, dude, grinding away to try and make a better life for their kids, right? And it got a bit out of control. You know, now all of a sudden they've got all the time in the world to pursue litigation against these companies or whatever. Wait, what, Davey? That's weird. Well, that's what I've been getting at, Soup. There's addiction to anything, whether it be entertainment, whether it be substances, it can be gambling, it can be, it can be sex, it can be, it can be anything in life. There's all kinds of things in life that can become debilitating addictions for people, right? But it's about consuming in moderation. You have to learn how to consume in moderation. It is about self-control. Not everybody knows how to immediately have self-control, though, right? So there are definitely people in the world that need guidance, that need to have parental figures around to help teach them how to have self-control, how to consume in moderation, right? And so that's where this job comes in of being parents and to teach, man, to guardians, to teach kids how to be better about it, how to consume in moderation and not let it control you. You control it. It doesn't control you, right? And so I talk about this all the time. And when we come across these articles regarding these kinds of situations with people trying to sue video gaming companies. Dude, I mean, it's so wildly stupid to me that this is something that happens. We all know that games are made to continue to pull people back in, but that's their business, man. It's not like exactly like we were talking. It's not like Netflix isn't doing the same thing, or Max, or Peacock, or any of the other streaming services. You know what I mean? They're trying to find the same they're competing on the same level as all the video gaming companies are. And they're pulling people in on a constant level of just, turning into couch mush. Trying to continually create, engaging content that is addictive to watch. And you know what I mean? Come on, man. It's not just, in the entertainment realm of everything that falls under that. They're not, video games are not the only ones that do this. Again, yeah, obviously it's a more immersive piece of entertainment because you're hands-on with it. You control more of it than just viewing it, correct? But it's not all that different, really. Now, a lot of this comes down to people needing to own up to what their responsibilities should have been in taking care of these kids and teaching these kids self-control, how to consume in moderation, and it's not happening. And so instead they want to point fingers and try and sue companies to get a bunch of money where they're still not going to do anything. They're still not going to help those kids. Even if they won, they wouldn't help those kids. I'm almost willing to bet big money on that. They're just after money. That's what it is, right? It's disgusting. What were you saying? No happy Saturday. Oh, there's definitely a happy Saturday. You're just deciding to not be a part of it, okay? Which is not surprising, We're like all the rest of us in here are like the video gaming companies. Soup, you're like that parent. You're like that parent that just wants to come in here all the time, throwing shade, not doing their job, coming in here angry and just throwing shade. Doesn't want to participate and having fun like the rest of us. Just want to point fingers, Oh, man. Davey, how did that even happen? Clicked on a random Tarisland stream and got an automatic ban. That's the weirdest, dude. Only Asus. Yeah. Good luck with that, buddy. I hope it works out for you. Asus and their terrible, terrible customer support. hope it works out for you, man. Alone in the Dark proves that games aren't allowed to fail anymore. Video games used to be an art form where every single thing didn't need to set the world on fire. Developers could afford to try new ideas, take risks, and embrace failure because they knew even if reviews were middling or sales were passable, they had a chance to dust themselves off and try again. That time has passed, and that medium is forever worse off. Alone in the Dark launched earlier this year was neither a critical nor commercial success for developer Pieces Interactive or publisher THQ Nordic. The studio was already victim to a round of layoffs recently, but I don't think any of us expected them to be shut down. But save money and recoup losses, that is precisely what parent company Embracer Group has done. Let's be fair here. Embracer Group can't afford anything anymore. And you can't talk about this like acting like it's just a matter of no developer can even take a chance anymore. They can't have even a mediocre game come out without, just having to shutter their doors and just close down and stuff. That's not what this is. That's not what this is. Okay? So Embracer went on a rampage. We're talking about one of the grossest, most disgusting examples of a video gaming company over the past 3 to 4 years, right? So, around 2022, 2021, they started buying everything they could. They started buying everything they can get their hands on. Yeah? Expand. Any license they could, any studio they could swoop up, anything. And everybody was going, why? How? It looked like they had infinite amounts of money. They were buying everything. Everything. And they overstretched. Now, the most terrible part about what this is and what has happened here is who has paid the price for this? None of these people that made these decisions about buying all these companies, buying all these licenses, and then having the result be firing mass amounts of people and shuttering tons of studios. And we're talking very, very iconic studios like, Volition, right? It's all the people that made those decisions and those choices to do all that kind of stuff, they're still there. They are still at the top of Embracer. What was Embracer's response has been this: we're going to split into 3 companies. We'll no longer be called Embracer because there's a bad stigma around our name now. Nobody likes us. So we're not going to change our management. We're not going to change our executives. We're not going to do anything like that. We're just going to split into 3 companies and try and make it to where people don't know we're Embracer anymore. That's all they did. That's all they did. So you want to sit here and talk about how a game can't be mediocre anymore without a company shutting down? That's not what this is about. This is about Embracer. This is about Embracer being a terrible corporation that can't afford, because of what they did in making I'm talking a bunch, a slew, a whole bunch of bad business decisions come back and bite them in the ass, and they can't afford to have any of their subsidiaries come out with anything mediocre, run of the mill. You know what I mean? If it's not great, they're gonna shut a studio down. We're seeing it over and over and over. Embracer's disgusting. This is a problem they've created for themselves, and unfortunately, as a result, everybody underneath them that they own is sweating bullets, dude. They have been for a long time. There have been a couple of companies that have gotten out from underneath Embracer here recently. Gearbox, and Saber. They were lucky. They got sold. Everybody else is just getting crushed, just slaughtered. It is a massacre. It's disgusting. So you can't sit here and talk about the fact that something like Alone in the Dark comes out and doesn't blow people away. It doesn't do phenomenal in sales, and so the developer has to be shut down. That's not necessarily what this is. This is more about Embracer being a terrible corporation that has put everything underneath them in a state of disarray and just on a fault line of, if you are not crushing it, you're going to get crushed. That's what this is about. It's disgusting. Now, it is a volatile industry. It's a volatile industry, and it continues to get more and more kind of to the point of where, you know, there's a lot of money to be made in video games. But finding a way to stand out and get a chunk of that pie is difficult. There's only more and more developers all the time. It's more and more polluted. Every genre is more and more polluted. So it's hard to make a name for yourself. It's hard to stand out. And I do think that means that we get more and more games that just kind of, I don't know. It's almost like more of the same thing all the time. And so when you're doing that kind of thing, you're not creating something that stands out in the industry and people are grabbing onto, and you know, you're running the risk of having very low sales. You're running the risk of dying off, because it is more and more difficult year on end. More companies want in, more developers want in, more games are being made. So if you're not making something that is truly visionary almost, or standing out, it's gonna be a tough loss probably. It's a volatile place. It's a volatile industry and business, and it's tough to stay afloat quite often if you're not making very good quality content. Absolutely. Unfortunately, there are a lot of big companies in this industry that are able to survive because they once upon a time were very, very good developers, and now they're just surviving off of, you know, the name of the company, the very iconic IPs that they have and that they've been developing for so long, even though the content of those IPs have really, really fallen off. It's an unfortunate thing, but it is definitely one of those that's still happening as well. So this is I don't like reading this. I think that it's really, really short-sighted to have this be written this way when it's obviously more of an Embracer issue than it is just no company can do anything mediocre anymore without them shutting down. This is an Embracer issue. The painful part is, and we'll continue reading this now, the painful part is that in an ideal world, Alone in the Dark would have achieved moderate success. Starred David Harbour and Jodie Comer as its two lead characters, featured an interesting take on the classic property, and wasn't afraid to do its own thing. End result was far from perfect, but was admirable in its visual presentation, unorthodox puzzle design, and in creating an aesthetic that we don't see from the genre all that much. But it wasn't a universal banger, so it was doomed to failure and then death. Games take too long to make, too expensive to produce, and present too many risks in the modern climate to be anything other than absolute juggernauts. Feels like many of Suits making the decisions at the top are incapable of scaling their creations or realizing that success can come in all different shapes and sizes. I would say AAA games take too long to make, or too expensive to produce, present too many risks in the modern climate. Be anything other than absolute juggernauts, because we see plenty of like indie games come out every year that take the world by storm, and They don't necessarily fit the mold of what they're talking about here. Unless you are an established franchise able to pump out constant sequels, or a company with ample capital to take an actual risk, it's hard to see how anything outside the indie scene is able to earn a seat at the table. Kind of like what I was talking about there. Putting your game out there is harder than it's ever been. You need to capture the attention of a massive audience to stay afloat in the landscape too, especially in a world dominated by live service titles that demand our constant attention with frequent seasonal updates and changes that punish us for failing to stay in the loop. This actively incentivizes players to find one game and stick with it, when just a couple of decades ago we'd be willing to take a chance on smaller games and different games and weirder games that needed that sort of mindset to survive. But unless you're a hardcore gamer with an eye on the indie scene, that doesn't exist anymore. I'll summarize this here. Now, new and existing studios aren't allowed to grow, build portfolios, or establish what they do well without a surefire hit on their hands, but such games don't come from nowhere. They're products of individual creative visions, tight-knit teams, and audiences who are followers of the genre and willing to support them. As a teenager, I could pick up a game I'd never heard of before, have it changed my perception of video games forever, but every day we're moving further and further away from that. The things we play cost so much, it takes so long to make, that anything that doesn't take over the world is doomed to stagnate. Alone in the Dark is an established franchise with a cult following, and even that fell through the cracks and struggled to maintain an audience. Something like that from a studio like Pieces, with major stars attached to it, is going to crash and burn. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit tired this morning. I'm sorry, guys. What chance does New Blood have with a similarly budgeted game? None at all. That's not going to change until entire parts of the industry are uprooted. That isn't going to happen anytime soon, and the games we love to play are only going to suffer because of it. Yeah, look, here's a comment right here. One of the first comments here. I enjoy this, but I didn't pick it up until the price fell to $25. I think Embracer had unrealistic expectations around the launch, retail price, and sales figures. I would say I don't think David Harbour and Jodie Comer had anything to added anything to the game, and I suspect using Hollywood actors did not help the budget. I don't play games wanting to see recognizable actors. If anything, it breaks the immersion. Another reply, I did exactly the same. We aren't big into gaming, but the original PC version of this was our go-to game for years. Thoughts echo yours. The actors are both great, but didn't add anything to it. Very likely increased cost. Embracer should be ashamed. This will make money in time, and execs at the parent company will have signed off to the spend on a reimagining of a quirky niche franchise. Shut a good developer down because the risk didn't pay off immediately is out of order. This is what I'm saying. So to say you can't just like, I don't know, man. I don't think that the entire sentiment that they're talking about in this article here is necessarily wrong. The industry is very volatile, no doubt about it. It's I think harder than it ever has been to make a name for yourself in video games and succeed in this industry. It's definitely polluted by like what I was talking about before and what they actually address right here. Unless you're an established franchise able to pump out constant sequels, or a company with ample capital to take actual risk. You know, we see that all the time, right? You get these massive corporations that once upon a time was very, very good at content, and they've gotten to a point where they don't really care anymore. I talk about it a lot. I think there are a lot of these companies, these software developers, that lost their way. And I think a big part of it's because the business got so big it became polluted with, not gaming-minded people, just business-minded people. So they forget what it's like to make quality content. and it's just about how can they monetize everything to the greatest extent possible. And you know, they're not in touch with what gamers actually want. So I think there are still great companies out there doing great stuff, even on the AAA front. You'll see like Larian. Dude, people love Larian. People love Larian, and they do come off as a very, very good company. They're engaged with their fan base. They're engaged with their consumer base. They're always trying to find out what their consumers and fans want out of their games. They take care of their employees. You know, I mean, there are great companies out there still doing great stuff. And you know, in opposition to a lot of these other companies where you just see like Embracer just continuing to shut down studios and stuff, there's a difference between these companies in the industry that continue to thrive and do good, and the companies that are struggling and continuing to shut down subsidiaries and stuff like that, right? Again, it's more of a struggle than it ever has been, but I think that means that my hope here is that it's showing more than ever that these companies have to get back to the roots of really what makes great video games. I think that these companies, and this is something that I've been advocating for a long time, I don't want bad developers in the industry. If you don't know what you're doing anymore, you're not making great content, and you're trying to get people to pay more and more money for subpar content, you can go away. I don't care. Dissolve. You know, get wrecked. You don't deserve to be making games in this industry if you're not making quality content consistently at a nice price point for the consumer. What are you doing? I think that's really what this comes down to. This is kind of almost like a natural selection kind of thing. Again, there are juggernauts in this industry. They continue to thrive even though they don't make great content anymore. It's unfortunate. But I'm hoping that as we continue to move down this kind of trend, they will start to suffer as well, because they don't deserve to continue to thrive on very subpar products or even broken products. But this isn't just an issue right here. I mean, it's a rough article to read when they're just trying to like almost scapegoat this out on the developer themselves and not what's been going on with Embracer as well. Embracer's disgusting. Super Fantasy Kingdom official gameplay trailer. What is this, dude? Let's watch this. That was really loud, I'm sorry.
How can this be? I can help you.
Why won't they let me die? Ooh-wee. Oh. Yeah, that was a big old octopus or squid. Super Fantasy Kingdom, huh? Interesting. Rebuild your kingdom and explore a vibrant fantasy world in this roguelite city builder. Defeat hordes of monsters with a unique team of defenders as you harvest, build, mine.
Talked about with several guys.
Shut your mouth, man! I'm talking. Cook, brew, and grow. But if your defenses should fail, be prepared to watch it all burn. Super Fantasy Kingdom. There's also a demo if you're interested. Here's your link. There you go. We do need to take a look at this Shadow of the Erdtree stuff too, but we'll do that last. Sony has reportedly made cuts to VR development with only 2 titles currently planned. Yeah, they're releasing a PC adapter for it in August. We knew that. But Sony has reportedly cut investment in their VR with only 2 titles in development in-house for its PS VR headset. According to Android Central, which claims that 2 games are in development at Sony for its PlayStation VR headset, with little interest within the publisher to produce more. According to the publication, there will be very few opportunities for VR development at Sony going forward. VGC has asked Sony for comment on this story. Sony's biggest foray into VR development came with the launch of the PlayStation VR 2 with Horizon Call of the Mountain. Since then, the company's output for the hardware has been limited. A PC adapter for the headset will be released later this year. The adapter will be released on August 7th and cost $60 US or 60 euros or 50 pounds at selected retailers and direct PlayStation.com where available. Players will also need a commercially available DisplayPort cable sold separately that is compatible with DisplayPort 1.4, as well as Steam account and a PC that meets the minimum requirements. So, it's even more expensive to use PSVR 2 on a PC than it is on PlayStation. And I don't think that it's going to be even as good of hardware at that price point as you can already buy for VR hardware on PC. So what's their price for PlayStation VR 2? It's like 500, right? I think like as much as their PlayStation is. I think their PSVR 2 is like $500. So by the time you're done with buying everything you need to make it run on your PC, you're talking $600. Yeah, US. And I don't think it's going to be of the same quality hardware-wise as what you would get out of something like, and I'm not a big supporter of Meta. I don't like that company, but it wouldn't even be of the same quality as something like a MetaQuest 3, which is going to be, I think, a less price point. I don't really see people going and buying a PlayStation VR 2 headset for PC when you can buy something else. I just don't really see it. In October, Sony Senior Vice President and Head of Global Marketing Eric Limpel described VR as a meaningful business for the company, but one that was yet to reach its potential. The VR category is important to us, Limpel said. Category that can help us with innovation. It's never going to be the only way people play games, but I'm happy that we're in it. There are great experiences to be had, and consumers really like it. But it's a nascent business for us. I don't see it, dude. I think it's great that they're trying to move all of their gaming stuff more heavily and more aggressively into the PC realm. It's good. It was needed. But I don't see something like this working too well, to be honest. You'll get those PlayStation or Sony fans, especially people that just have some kind of affection for the Sony brand. They'll go, "Oh, Sony VR. I'll buy into that." Other than that, though, people that are actually more up to date with the options that are out there for VR on PC, interested in what kind of price versus performance you can get, stuff like that, I don't think they'll buy into PSVR 2 for PC. Pyoro admits primary source is Nintendo of Japan employee who seemingly had access to Nintendo's web backend. So Bloomberg video game journalist Jason Schreier has published an interesting article looking at various high-profile video game leakers, and naturally one of those is Pyoro. Pyoro has in the past been a thorn in Nintendo's backside with his accurate leaks of Nintendo games ahead of Nintendo Direct presentations, though he was unusually quiet in the run-up to the latest Nintendo Direct, only teasing a few smaller games and saying that he didn't expect many big announcements. This was proven factually wrong after the Nintendo Direct presentation, which included a number of heavy hitters. Yeah, the Nintendo Direct presentation was flipping awesome. Scheduled for this year and beyond. Speaking to Jason, Piero says that his information source is a Nintendo of Japan employee who seemingly has access to the company's web backend. Here's what was said in the article. Nobody knew Piero's identity or how they got information, but as the account continued to predict new announcements with a perfect track record, they attracted a huge audience. The account gained more than 100,000 followers on X and inspired a series of threads on the large gaming forum Reset Era. But Piero was uncharacteristically quiet ahead of this week's Nintendo Direct, saying that they didn't expect many big announcements. They were subsequently proven wrong when the company showed off new Mario, Zelda, and Metroid games. People wondered, how could an account with a perfect batting average suddenly get things so wrong? Then came a twist. Several observers, led by a Reset Era poster called The Game Master, began to realize that in contrast to previous announcements, these new surprises did not have pre-seeded web pages on Nintendo's store. They followed the breadcrumbs and realized that Piero's previous leaks had all involved games that were set to go live on Nintendo's website as soon as they were announced. Games that were only put up on the store after the Nintendo Direct were not leaked by Piero in advance. It appeared that Piero had access to Nintendo's web backend, and the account's information was limited to what was available there. I reached out to Piero to try and get clarity on this. Over direct messages, they told me that their source works for Nintendo of Japan, but I'm unsure how they obtained their information, and that the backend theory is a reasonable guess. Piero is just the latest mysterious rumor monger to get knocked off a pedestal in recent weeks. Rumor monger. What a great word. We're not done. We're not done yet. Get back in here. Psych. Baited. We're gonna look at this these reviews for Shadow of the Erd Tree on PC. It's not looking very good right now. I doubt it's content. I bet it's performance. There is an issue with From Software and their a lot of their PC games. Now, what I will say is that their most recent release, full game release, which was Armored Core 6, woo, apparently was really good. But Elden Ring was not good. Apparently it is still bad. And it's affecting their reviews, I think, of Shadow of the Erd Tree. As you can see right now, they're sitting at 64% positive of 11,450 reviews. Ooh. Yeah, some specific open world areas run at 30 frames on a 3080 and a 5700X 3D, latest drivers, etc. Wild. DLC itself is a mixed bag with some of the best and worst of FromSoft. Camera is the hardest boss so far. Nothing new here from the release of the main game. More than 2 years waiting for this unbalanced BS of a seizure. Then it's not even half the size of the main game. Perfect 10 out of 10 game ruined by a DLC. Thanks for nothing, FromSoft. I'm done with this game. While the world being barely fine, the bosses definitely aren't. Makes Millennia much more enjoyable. I recommend skipping the DLC unless you want this frustrating challenge. Erd Tree is sadly overshadowed by performance issues. FPS capped to 60. Feels less. Sometimes dips into 40s and 50s on a 4080. Latest drivers, lowest or max settings, doesn't matter. Noticeable micro stuttering, that was always an issue in this game, unfortunately. No ultra wide support, still no DLSS and no frame generation. They had so much time to upgrade the technical side of the game, especially for PC players. They did not use the chance. Using mods to fix said problems were developed ages ago and will unfortunately result in a ban from online play. Recycled bosses. Get ready for 5 more copy-pasted giant dragons in the first couple of hours. And major bosses have straight up recycled from the base game. Jesus Christ. Terrible camera. Camera bosses were such a problem in the base game. I'm shocked it's still a problem in the DLC. That feels bad, dude. Yeah. It's a mix of people not really being too thrilled with the DLC content, as well as performance issues still. It's unfortunate, man. It's very unfortunate. It sucks to hear that. A lot of people buying this right now, expecting more, I think, and not getting probably what they're expecting. It's unfortunate. Again, one of my sentiments that I talked about, what feels so bad about this really is, we even read a entire article about the game being tested after the update of the DLC and stuff, and still having very, very bad issues with micro stuttering and frame drop and stuff, which plagued the PC version of the game for a lot of players. It's varied across the board depending on your hardware configurations, but you know, FromSoft still hasn't fixed it. Unfortunately, they still haven't fixed the PC issues. So instead of focusing down on trying to make sure that all versions of this game on every platform were as smooth as possible and polished, and weren't having any of these kinds of issues, they just neglected it. They don't care. Obviously, they don't care, and they were like, "Well, we'll just push out a DLC," you know. And who cares if there's still people that are having performance issues or whatever. That feels really bad. I got, you know, I pre-ordered Elden Ring. I played through the entire game with all the performance issues, and it did not feel very good. And I said, I probably won't pre-order or buy another FromSoft game on release for quite some time, because it felt so bad. Felt quite baited. A little bit of some buyer's remorse there. And I hadn't really kept up with it, but I just assumed they probably got this into a better working state for PC gamers. Apparently not. Apparently not, unfortunately. It feels really, really terrible. But I don't know, man. Let's say. It feels really bad. Alright. But that's the news. Cool. Let's go play some games. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go play games for the rest of the day. We're going to do a little bit of some more Ghost of Tsushima. So we'll get Ghost of Tsushima. We're going to probably finish up Act 2 right now. And then we'll do X-Defiant. We'll just get some nice, sweaty shooter action in with as many of the community as can and wants to attend and play here. It'll be a good day. And yeah, that'll be the jam. So if anybody's been hanging out, you're not familiar with what we do, this is what it's like every day around here. Besides Wednesdays. We're off on Wednesdays. But we always start off with video gaming news. Just trying to stay current on what's happening in the industry and promote a healthier, more consumer-friendly place for all of us that are video gaming enthusiasts, man. That's what it's about. We have an awesome community. Amazing people. Just always trying to have a good time, enjoying each other's company, enjoying video games together, always trying to do our best to present a very welcoming experience for anybody that wants to be a part of this, and be void of negativity, toxicity, have a safe spot for people to come enjoy the world of video games, man. So if you can dig that, come be a part of it. We're always looking for more great people to come be a part of our community, man. Other than that, happy Saturday. I hope everybody's weekend is starting very, very well. Stay healthy, stay safe, be kind. I'm not done. I'm going to run us an outro real quick, though, to summarize this news segment real quick. And as soon as it's over, we will start playing games, all right? I'll see you in 1 second.